Welcome. Tonight, you're going to step back in time to 1899, to a small western town, to a saloon called the Dusty Rose. The Wild West is ending, the frontier's closing. The great cattle drives are mostly done. Barbed wires carved up the open range. Railroads connect the territory now. Telegraph wires carry news from across the country. The 20th century's just around the corner. But here, in this saloon, life goes on much like it has for years. Cowboys come in after long days of work. Miners drift down from the hills. Travelers pass through with stories. And the bartender stands behind the bar, listening, watching, keeping things steady. Tonight, you're going to experience this world through their eyes. You will hear fragments of conversation, stories about famous gunmen, talk about the changing times, complaints about work and weather, the everyday rhythms of life in 1899. You'll learn real facts, over 100 of them woven throughout the night, about saloon culture, about cowboys and their work, about the people who shaped the West, about how folks actually lived in this time and place. But here's the important part. You don't need to stay awake for all of it. This is a sleep story. It's designed to let you drift off whenever you're ready. If you fall asleep in the first 15 minutes, perfect. If you make it further, you'll learn something. But either way, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So find a comfortable position. Let your breathing slow. Let your body settle. The evening's about to begin. The lamps are being lit. The doors will start swinging soon. And you'll be there, behind the bar, a silent witness to an ordinary night in an extraordinary time. Let the sounds carry you. Let the voices wash over you. Let sleep come when it's ready. It's 1899. The sun's going down over a small western town, and the Dusty Rose Saloon is about to open its doors. Let's step inside. Stand behind the bar as the last of the afternoon light comes through the window. Everything's gone amber and gold. Dust motes drift lazy in those slanted beams. You watch them float and turn while your hands move through the familiar work of opening. The glass in your hand is warm from washing. You set it down gentle on the wooden bar top. It joins the others in a neat row. The clink is soft. Barely a sound at all. Outside, the street's quieting down. The day's work is finishing. Hammers have stopped their pounding. Voices are softer now. Somewhere down the block, a horse snorts and stamps. You hear the jingle of harness as someone unhitches for the evening. But here inside, the saloon's still, waiting. You move along behind the bar. The floorboards creak under your boots. It's the same creak every evening. Same boards. Same rhythm. You've learned which ones sing and which stay quiet. Your feet know the path without thinking. Muscle memory. 5 years you've worked this bar. 5 years of these same sounds. These same movements. There's comfort in that. A steadiness. The bar itself runs the length of the room. Dark wood worn smooth by 10,000 elbows, maybe more. The surface shows every ring from every glass ever set down, every scratch from coins pushed across to pay a tab. You run your hand along it as you pass, feeling the grain, the slight dips where the wood's hollowed out over years of use. Along the bottom runs a brass foot rail, polished dull from countless boots resting there. Below that, the floor scattered with fresh sawdust you spread just an hour ago. Pale yellow curls that'll darken as the evening goes on, soaking up spills and mud and whatever else gets tracked in. Behind you, the back bar rises up, shelves and a long mirror, bottles arranged just so. The mirror is the pride of this place. 6 feet of silver glass that the owner had shipped all the way from St. Louis 2 summers back. It makes the room look twice as big as it is, reflecting lamplight and bottles, and the men will soon fill these spaces. In the mirror's surface, you can see the whole room behind you without turning around. You can watch the door, watch the tables, watch everything. The bottles on the shelves are mostly whiskey, amber liquid in clear glass. Some labeled, some not. There's bourbon and rye. Though you know most of what you pour ain't really neither. Not really. It's what the distributor sends up from the city. Barrels of rough spirits that get watered down, flavored with tobacco juice or burnt sugar to give it color. Rot gut, some call it, but it's what folks expect, and it's what they can afford. 5 cents a shot, a nickel for forgetting, or for remembering. Depends on the night and the man. You check the beer barrels in the corner, tucked against the wall where the air stays coolest. Your hand rests on the wood, feeling for the temperature. There's ice packed around them, hauled in yesterday from the ice house at the edge of town. Great blocks of it cut from the river up north in winter, kept buried in sawdust all through the hot months. In weather like this, cold beer's worth the trouble. Men will pay extra for it. Stand too deep at the bar just to wrap their hands around a frosted glass. The light's changing now. The amber's gone orange, then pink, and the shadows are stretching long across the floor. You light the first lamp, the one that hangs over the near end of the bar. The match hisses as it strikes. Sulfur smells sharp in your nose for just a moment. Then the coal oil catches and the flame steadies behind the glass chimney. Yellow light pools on the bar top. You move to the next lamp, and the next, working your way down the length of the room. Each one adds its glow until the saloon feels warm, even though the evening air coming through the open doors is starting to cool. The door, those swinging batwing doors that hang in the entrance, chest high, so you can always see boots and hats passing by on the boardwalk outside. They're practical, those doors. Let air flow through, let light in, let sound out, and they let you see who's coming before they fully arrive. Right now they're still, just barely moving in whatever breeze finds its way down the street. But soon they'll be swinging constant, in and out, all night long. You arrange things, glasses in rows, the towel folded over the bar's edge, within reach. The cigar box open, showing the cheap Mexican stogies, and a few better ones tucked in the back for men who'll pay 20 cents instead of 5. A bowl of matches, the chalk and slate where you'll mark down tabs for the regulars, the ones who pay up every week when they get wages, the ones you trust. There's a simplicity to all of this, a rightness, every object in its place. Every lamp lit, every glass clean. The saloon's ready. You're ready, and you wait. The first sounds of evening come in layers. A dog barking 3 streets over. The clop of hooves as someone rides past slow. Heading home. The creak of a wagon. Voices. 2 men talking as they walk. Their words ain't clear, but their tone's easy. Relaxed. The day is done. The night's beginning, and the saloon's where those 2 things meet. You hear him before you see him. Old Thomas, always first through the door, his boots on the boardwalk, heavy and deliberate, the squeak of leather as he pushes through the batwing doors. And there he is, hat pulled low, dust on his vest, the lines in his face deep as creek beds. He don't say anything. Just nods in your direction, and you nod back. You're already reaching for a glass, already moving to the beer barrel, because you know what he wants. Same thing every evening. Has been for 3 years. You pour. The beer hisses slight as it leaves the tap, foam rising white and thick. You let it settle, then top it off and slide the glass across the bar. Thomas catches it with one calloused hand and takes a long, slow drink. His eyes close, his shoulders drop an inch. You see it happen, see the day leave him sip by sip. When he sets the glass down, it's half empty, and he wipes foam from his mustache with the back of his hand. Long one, he says. His voice is gravel and dust. You nod again. You don't need to respond. He knows you're listening. That's what you do. You stand behind this bar, and you listen, and you pour, and the world comes to you in fragments. Stories and complaints and jokes and lies. All of it washing up against the bar like waves against the shore. You're the witness to it all, but you don't participate. You're the bartender. You're part of the furniture in a way. Necessary, trusted, invisible. Thomas settles onto a stool, and you turn back to your work. There's peanuts to set out. The shells folks will crack and drop on the floor to mix with the sawdust. There's the free lunch counter to check. Pickled eggs in their jar. Murky brine. Crackers in a tin. Cheese going hard at the edges. Nothing fancy, but it serves its purpose. Buy a drink. Eat your fill. Some men make a meal of it. Some men need to. The doors swing again. 2 ranch hands this time. Younger men. Talking loud. Their energy still high from the day. They smell like horses and sweat in the open range. They slap dust from their hats against their thighs and hang them on the pegs by the door. They're grinning at each other about something. Probably a joke. Probably nothing much. And they bring that grin to the bar. Whiskey, one of them says. Not a question. Just a statement. You reach for the bottle. Pour 2 shots into small glasses. The liquid catches the lamplight as it falls. They grab the glasses, throw the whiskey back in one swallow each, grimace, slam the empties down, and breathe out hard through their teeth. One of them laughs. Lord, that'll strip paint. His friend grins wider. Do it again. You pour again. They pay this time. Coins clinking onto the wood. You scoop them up and drop them in the till. The evening's beginning in earnest now. More men arrive. The saloon's filling by degrees. Not crowded yet, but no longer empty. Faces you recognize, mostly. Miners coming down from the hills. Their clothes still showing rock dust. A clerk from the general store. His apron left behind. His collar loosened. A traveler you don't know. Standing uncertain by the door until you gesture him toward a table. He'll find his way. They all do. The sounds build. Conversation layering over conversation. The scrape of a chair as someone sits. Boot heels on the floorboards. Muffled now by the sawdust that's already darkening in the high-traffic areas. Someone coughs. Someone laughs. A glass is set down. Not hard, just placed. And the sound's part of the rhythm now. Part of the evening's pulse. You pour and pour. Whiskey. Beer. Sometimes both for the same man. Your hands are steady. Practiced. You don't spill. You don't overpour. You know exactly how much is in each glass. Can feel it in your wrist as you tip the bottle. You know how to make a barrel last. How to stretch profits without making anyone feel cheated. It's a skill. Not one you talk about, but skill nonetheless. The mirror behind you is doing its work. You catch glimpses of the room and its reflection. Men leaning on the bar. Men gathered at tables. Men standing in small groups. The lamplight flickers sometimes when the breeze comes through, and shadows shift across faces. Everyone looks tired. Everyone looks like they've earned this drink. this moment, this chance to let the day slide away. There's a piano in the corner, old and battered. It's wood scarred and its ivory keys yellowed like old teeth. No one's playing it yet. That'll come later, when someone's had enough whiskey to feel brave or nostalgic or both. For now it sits silent, waiting, its closed lid reflecting lamplight in a dull gleam. You wipe down the bar top, the towel moving in slow circles, clearing away rings of moisture, clearing away nothing at all, just moving because your hands need to move. The wood smooth under the cloth. You've wiped this bar 10,000 times, maybe more. It's meditation. It's muscle memory. It's what you do in the spaces between pouring. Old Thomas is still nursing his beer, his eyes distant, staring at nothing in particular. Beside him now is a man named Carlson, a freight hauler, talking low about the state of the roads, about the mud up north, about a bridge that needs fixing. Thomas nods occasional, but you can tell he ain't really listening. Carlson don't seem to mind. Sometimes talking's enough. Sometimes you just need to hear your own voice say the things you're thinking. You notice the details because that's your job. The way men hold their glasses. Some tight-fisted, some loose, some with both hands like they're praying. The way they stand, weight on one leg, the other foot on the brass rail. The way they look around when they first come in, checking faces, checking corners, making sure of something. Safety maybe, or familiarity, or just making sure they're in the right place, that this is where they're meant to be. The saloon's many things. It's a bar, yeah, a place to drink, but it's more than that. For many of these men, it's the closest thing to a living room they got. The bunkhouse is for sleeping, the range is for working, but here they can sit and talk and be among their own kind, whatever that means to each of them. Here they can relax, or at least try to. You see it in the way they settle, shoulders loosening, voices dropping from the sharp daylight tone to something softer, easier. The saloon absorbs them, takes them in, and you're part of that. You behind the bar, a constant, a fixture, someone who sees them but don't judge them, someone who'll pour another round without asking why. The false front of this building, the one that faces the street. It's painted and trimmed to look grander than it is. Tall boards rising up, making the place seem 2 stories when it's really only 1, at least in front. There's lettering up there, painted in red and gold. The Dusty Rose Saloon. The paint's peeling now, but it still shows in the evening light. It's advertising. It's pride. It's the face the saloon shows to the world. But back here, behind the bar, there ain't no pretense. Just wood and whiskey and work. Just the slow accumulation of another night, another dollar, another 100 small interactions that add up to something. Community maybe, or just habit. It's hard to say which. The lamplight flickers again, and you glance up at the nearest flame. The wick needs trimming, but that can wait. Everything can wait for now. The evening's still young. The crowd's still building. The doors keep swinging. In and out, bringing the world inside one person at a time. You pour another round for the ranch hands. They've moved on to beer now, pacing themselves, settling in for the long haul. One of them's telling a story about a horse, and his friends laughing before the punchline comes. You've heard this one before, or one like it. Stories about horses, about cattle, about the weather, about near misses and small victories. They cycle through the same few themes, these stories. But that's all right. Repetition's comforting. Knowing what comes next is comforting. A group of miners comes in, 4 of them, their faces shadowed with exhaustion and rock dust that no amount of washing quite removes. It settles into the creases around their eyes, into the lines of their foreheads. They order whiskey, all four, and you line up the glasses and pour in one smooth motion, the bottle moving down the line, each glass filling in turn. They don't toast, they just drink. Then they order another round. You oblige. This is the rhythm. Pour, collect money, pour again, your tills filling with coins, nickels and dimes mostly, the occasional quarter. By the end of the night, it'll be heavy with the weight of small denominations, the weight of 100 transactions, 100 moments of exchange. Behind you, on the shelves, the bottles stand in their rows, some full, some half empty, some nearly gone. You keep track without thinking about it, knowing which ones need replacing, knowing how much stock's left in the storeroom. It's all calculation, but calculation so automatic it don't feel like thought, just awareness, just the accumulated knowledge of years. The smell of the saloon's particular. It's a mix of things. Tobacco smoke, which is just starting to layer in as men light cigars and pipes. Coal oil from the lamps. Sawdust, which smells like fresh-cut wood even when it's old. Spilled beer, which has a yeasty sweetness. Whiskey, sharp and alcoholic. Sweat and leather and horses. All of it carried in on the clothes and skin of every man who walks through those swinging doors. It ain't unpleasant, this smell. It's just what it is. The smell of the evening beginning. The smell of life being lived. You hear the scrape of chairs at the gambling tables in the back. Card games starting up. Poker, probably. Or faro. The sound of a deck being shuffled. That soft riffle of pasteboard. Chips clicking as they're stacked. Low voices discussing bets. Discussing hands. You don't watch those games close. That ain't your concern. As long as they stay peaceful. As long as money changes hands without accusations. You let them be. The house takes a percentage of each pot, and that money finds its way to you at the end of the night. It's part of how this place survives. A newer customer approaches the bar. Someone you've only seen a handful of times. He's older, maybe 50, with gray shot through his beard and a careful way of moving. He orders beer, and you pour it, and when you slide it across he nods his thanks, but don't speak. That's fine. Not everyone comes here to talk. Some come just to be around other folks without having to engage. The saloon allows for that. It's big enough, busy enough, that a man can be alone in the crowd if that's what he needs. The evening light outside's almost gone now. Through the top half of the doorway, the part the swinging doors don't cover, you can see the sky deepening from pink to purple to the first dark blue of night. Stars will be coming out soon. The street's quieter. The workday's over. Now begins the social hours. The drinking hours. The hours when men come together to process the day that's past and steel themselves for the one that's coming. You refill the peanut bowl, pouring from a sack kept under the bar. The shells crunch under your boots as you move. Tomorrow morning you'll sweep all of this up. The shells, the sawdust, the debris of the evening, and start fresh. But for now it accumulates. Evidence of life happening, of folks being here, of the saloon serving its purpose. Old Thomas has finally finished his beer. He sets the glass down gentle and stands, his joints protesting audible. He tips his hat to you, a small gesture, and you nod back. He leaves through the swinging doors, and you watch his silhouette disappear into the gathering dark. First in, first out. His routine's as fixed as the stars. But for everyone who leaves, two more arrive. The saloon's filling now, the noise level rising, the heat rising too from all these bodies pressed into this space. The lamps seem brighter now that it's full dark outside. They're light-harder, less gentle than it was at dusk, but it's good light, honest light. It shows you everything you need to see. You pour, you wipe the bar, you collect coins, you nod, you listen without appearing to listen, you watch without appearing to watch. This is your station, and you tend it with the same steady care you've shown every evening for 5 years. Tomorrow will be the same, and the day after that, and the day after that. There's peace in that certainty. There's safety in routine. The saloon's alive now, fully awake. The evening's begun in earnest, and you're ready for whatever it brings. The doors keep swinging, the drinks keep pouring, and you stand behind the bar, constant as the wood beneath your hands, as the mirror at your back, as the lamplight that'll burn until dawn comes again, and the whole cycle starts over. This is opening. This is dusk. This is the beginning. And you are the bartender. Saloon's found its rhythm now. The bars lined 3 deep in places. Men standing shoulder to shoulder, elbows claiming their territory on the worn wood. You move behind the counter with practiced efficiency, pouring, sliding glasses, collecting coins. The motions so familiar your hands could do it in your sleep. Maybe they have. Maybe on some of these long nights, part of you does sleep while the rest keeps working. A group of cowboys has claimed the corner table. 5 of them, their hats hung on chair backs, their faces showing the deep exhaustion that comes from working cattle all day in the sun. You know these men, not their full names, maybe, but their faces, their usual orders, the way they carry themselves. Ranch hands from the Double J spread, about 8 miles north of town. They come in once a week, usually on Saturday when they get paid, but sometimes midweek like tonight when the work's been particularly hard and they need to wash the dust from their throats. One of them catches your eye and holds up 2 fingers. You nod, already reaching for glasses. 2 beers. You pour them and carry them over yourself. The place is busy enough that the trip's worth making rather than waiting for someone to come collect them. As you set the glasses down, you catch fragments of their conversation. 14 hours yesterday, and Martinez says we got another week of this before we can move them to the upper pasture. My back's so stiff I can't hardly bend to pull my boots off. 50 head we rounded up from that box canyon, and half of them are somebody else's brand. They're talking work, always work, because that's what cowboys are, despite what the dime novels back east might say. They're workers, laborers, men who spend 14, 16 hours in the saddle for $30 a month if they're lucky. The average cowboy in 1899 ain't a gunfighter or a hero. He's a low-paid ranch hand with sore muscles and worn-out clothes, moving cattle from one piece of land to another, fixing fences, breaking horses, doing whatever the boss says needs doing. You return to the bar. A man you don't recognize is waiting. Young, maybe 20, with new-looking clothes and skin that ain't quite weathered yet. Tenderfoot, probably. Fresh from back east or up from the city. Come west looking for adventure or opportunity or escape. He orders whiskey, and his voice is uncertain, like he ain't quite sure he's saying it right. You pour, and he pays, and he takes the glass to a table near the gambling corner, where he sits alone, watching everything with wide eyes. You've seen hundreds like him. Most don't last. The West ain't what they imagined. It's harder, dirtier, more tedious. The grand adventures they pictured turn out to be long days of difficult work for little pay. Some adapt, some go home, some disappear into the territory, and you never see them again. Near the Tenderfoot, an old cowboy named Roscoe's settled in with his regular evening whiskey. Roscoe's maybe 60, though it's hard to tell. The sun and the work age men differently out here. He's been working cattle since before the big trails closed. Back when you could still drive herds all the way from Texas to Kansas without hitting fences every 10 miles. He's missing 2 fingers on his left hand, lost to a rope burn that went bad, and he walks with a limp from a horse that rolled on him in '82. But he still works, still rides, because what else would he do? The Tenderfoot's watching Roscoe with fascination, the way folks watch legends, even small ones. After a few minutes, the young man works up his courage and moves to Roscoe's table, asks if he can sit. Roscoe shrugs, gestures at the empty chair. You're close enough to hear as you wipe glasses, close enough to catch the conversation without appearing to listen. You've been out here long? The Tenderfoot asks. Long enough. Roscoe's voice is like leather dragged over stone. I just got here from Philadelphia. Wanted to see the real West before it's all gone. Roscoe snorts soft. Real West. Son, the real West's mostly just work and waiting. I reckon you'll figure that out. There's a pause, and then the young man says, I heard some of the fellows talking earlier, and I didn't understand half the words they used. Do cowboys talk different out here? Roscoe looks at him for a long moment, then takes a sip of his whiskey. When he sets the glass down, there's something almost amused in his weathered face. You want a lesson in cowboy talk, do you? If you don't mind. Well, Roscoe leans back in his chair, and you can tell he's settling in to enjoy this. First thing you need to know is that out here, what you call something matters. A tenderfoot like yourself, that's a greenhorn. A newcomer who don't know sagebrush from tumbleweeds yet. Now, if a man calls you a tenderfoot, that's just fact. But if he calls you a whippersnapper, that's saying you're young and foolish and too big for your britches. The tenderfoot's listening intent, and you're listening too. Your hands moving automatic through your work. Now, Roscoe continues. If someone calls you pigeon-livered, that means you're a coward. Got a heart like a bird, small and weak. And if you're a meager, that's even worse. That's a man who backs down from trouble every time. Out here, you can be poor, you can be ugly, you can be dumb as a post, but you better not be yellow. Yellow, cowardly, same thing. Roscoe takes another drink. Now, some insults are about foolishness. A chowderhead's an idiot. A saphead's a fool. Flapdoodle's a man full of nonsense. You meet a lot of flapdoodles in this world, let me tell you. Despite yourself, you almost smile. Roscoe's warming to his subject now. If a man's dishonest, you might call him a hornswaggler. That's a liar and a cheat. Or a sidewinder, like the snake, meaning he's treacherous. Can't trust a sidewinder. They'll smile to your face and rob you blind as soon as you turn around. He pauses. Of course, you don't want to call a man these things unless you're prepared to back it up. Words lead to fists, and fists lead to worse. The tenderfoot nods serious, like he's memorizing this. What about friendly terms? Things that ain't insults. Well, you might call someone partner, or pard, or just cowboy. though that's more a job description than anything else. Old-timer for someone like me. Buckaroo in some territories, though that's more common further west. Roscoe scratches his jaw. Mostly we just use first names, when we use names at all. A lot of men out here, they don't want too many questions about who they are or where they came from. You've heard this before, this dance around identity and past. The West's full of men who've left something behind. Debts, crimes, families, failures. You don't ask. That's one of the unwritten rules. And Roscoe's teaching it now to this green kid from Philadelphia. And if you're gonna drink, Roscoe says, his voice dropping a bit, you better learn the etiquette. See, if a man offers to treat you, that means buy you a drink. You accept it. You don't refuse. Refusing's an insult. And insulting a man in a saloon can get you hurt. Or worse. The tenderfoot glances nervous around the room, as if seeing it differently now. And if you're in a group, Roscoe continues, and someone buys a round, you take your turn buying the next. That's expected. You don't nurse your drink either. You don't sip it slow like some fancy gentleman at a garden party. Out here, you drink your whiskey, and you drink it proper, straight usually, and quick. You move down the bar, serving others, but you can still hear Roscoe's voice, steady and patient, laying out the rules of this world to someone who don't know them yet. It's an act of kindness, really, teaching the young man these things. Better to learn them from an old-timer over whiskey than to learn them the hard way in the middle of a misunderstanding that turns violent. A rancher named Collier's at the bar now, settling his tab from earlier in the week. He counts out coins slow, his hands thick and calloused, the nails permanently dirty from work that never really washes off. He's a small operator, runs maybe 200 head on hardscrabble land east of town. You know he's struggling. Everyone is, with beef prices down and the big ranches squeezing out the small ones. But he pays what he owes, and that counts for something. How's the herd, you ask? Because sometimes silence needs filling, and because you genuinely want to know. Surviving, Collier says. Lost 3 to wolves last month. Found them scattered in the north section. Torn up bad. Makes you wonder if it's worth it sometimes. You nod. You don't have answers for him. Nobody does. The West's changing, and not everyone's gonna make it through to whatever comes next. Collier takes his change and moves off, and immediately another customer takes his place. It's like this now, the constant flow. Every face needs attention. Every order needs filling. Every transaction needs completion. You're a machine in the best sense. Efficient, reliable, inexhaustible. At least until closing time. The gambling tables in the back are busy now. You can hear the murmur of bets being placed, the soft slap of cards hitting felt, the occasional grunt of satisfaction or disappointment, poker mostly, and a faro table that's drawing a small crowd. The house takes a rake from each pot. That's how gambling works in places like this. The saloon provides the space and the cards and the chips, and in exchange takes a small percentage of every pot, 5% usually, though sometimes more depending on the game and the stakes. You don't watch the games close, but you're aware of them. You're aware of everything, in a distant sort of way. Who's winning, who's losing, who's getting tense, who's getting drunk. You're watching for the signs of trouble before trouble actually arrives. That's part of your job too, being the early warning system, the one who sees the storm coming while it's still just clouds on the horizon. A fight almost started earlier. You saw it developing, saw the way two men were looking at each other over cards, saw the tension in their shoulders, but it dissolved before it became something. One man walking away, the other letting him go. Most trouble ends this way, with nothing, with someone deciding it ain't worth it, but you stay watchful anyway, because the times that don't end that way, you need to be ready. The ranch hands from the Double J are on their second round now, maybe third. Their voices are louder, but not in a bad way, just in the way of men relaxing, men letting go of the day's weight. One of them's telling a story about a steer that went crazy, charged a fence, knocked itself half senseless. The others are laughing, slapping the table, calling the storyteller a liar even as they laugh. It's the ritual of it, the back and forth, the way men entertain each other when there ain't nothing else to do but talk. You've heard 1,000 stories like this. Stories about animals doing strange things, about near accidents, about stupidity and bad luck and small triumphs. They all blend together after a while, but you don't mind. The stories ain't really the point. The point's the telling, the being together, the shared experience of being alive in this particular time and place. At the bar, a quiet man orders beer and stands alone, drinking slow. He's Mexican, or Mexican-American, or simply American. Depends on how you think about these things and where the borders sit in folks' minds. His name's Jesus, though he goes by Jesse with the white Cowboys who can't seem to wrap their tongues around the Spanish pronunciation. He's a vaquero, a horseman, and one of the best ropers you've ever seen. But he gets paid less than the white Cowboys, and he knows it, and everyone knows it, and nobody talks about it. That's just how it is, how it's always been out here. The West's more mixed than folks back east imagine. There's Mexican families who've been in this territory since long before it was American territory. There's black cowboys, former slaves and their children, who work the same ranches and ride the same trails as everyone else, even if they sleep in different bunkhouses. There's Chinese men working the railroad and washing clothes and running small businesses. There's European immigrants, fresh off the boat, trying to make sense of this strange new land. And there's the native folks, though you see fewer of them in town these days. They're on reservations now mostly, confined to lands that nobody else wanted, under pressure from a government to give up their languages and their ways and become something else, something more acceptable. The weight of that sits heavy on the conscience when you let yourself think about it, but mostly you don't. Mostly you pour drinks and mind your business and let the larger questions go unanswered. A telegraph operator comes in, a thin man named Sparks who works the night shift at the Western Union office down the street. He orders coffee. You keep a pot warm on the stove and drinks it at the bar while telling you about the messages that came through today. News from back east, mostly. Stock prices, political gossip. Somebody's sister's getting married. Somebody's father died. The telegraph wires carry all of human life, condensed into dots and dashes, transmitted at the speed of electricity. Got one today from Chicago. Sparks says, woman asking about her husband. Ain't heard from him in 6 months. Wanted to know if anyone here knows a Robert Henderson. You shake your head. The name means nothing, but it might mean something to someone else in town, so you file it away, in case someone asks. Probably dead. Sparks says, not unkind, just factual, or moved on. Folks disappear out here. You know how it is. You do know. The West swallows folks. Some on purpose. Some by accident. Some because they want to be swallowed. Want to start fresh. want to become someone new. And some just because the distances are so big and the dangers so many and the infrastructure so thin that folks slip through the cracks and nobody notices until it's too late. Sparks finishes his coffee and leaves, and the space he occupies immediately filled by someone else. The bar's like that tonight. No gaps, no pauses, just a constant press of humanity seeking drinks and company and escape. Back at his table, Roscoe's still educating the tenderfoot. You catch pieces of it as you move around. Never ask a man about his money. How much he has, how much he makes, how big his herd is. That's private. That's sacred almost. And you don't ask about his past, where he came from, what he did before. If a man wants you to know, he'll tell you. If he don't tell you, you don't ask. The young man's nodding, absorbing this. And the girls, Roscoe says, lowering his voice slight, the saloon girls. You treat them like ladies, understand? You don't grab. You don't insult. You don't get rough. They're working, same as you. They deserve respect. Man who don't respect the girls usually finds himself in trouble quick. There ain't no saloon girls working tonight. As it happens, the owner brought some in last month. Dancers and companions. But it didn't take. The town ain't big enough. Or not rough enough. Or something. They moved on to Cheyenne or Denver or somewhere else. But the rules Roscoe's describing are real. And they apply in the places where such women do work. It's one of the paradoxes of the saloon. This place of vice and rough behavior also has its codes, its ethics, its lines that shouldn't be crossed. A freight hauler's complaining to anyone who'll listen about the state of the roads north of town. Mud so deep you sink to your axles, he's saying. Lost a whole day waiting for the ground to freeze enough to get through. And there's talk that the bridge over Salt Creek's unsafe. Might collapse any day now. Infrastructure, or the lack of it, that's one of the realities of the frontier that don't make it into the romantic stories. Roads are often just dirt tracks, muddy in spring, dusty in summer, frozen in winter. Bridges are few and often questionable. Getting from one place to another can be an ordeal, even over short distances. The railroads changed some of that, but even the railroad don't go everywhere. And where it don't go, you're back to wagons and horses and the mercy of weather. More men arrive. The saloon's packed now. The air thick with smoke and conversation and body heat. You're moving constant, pouring constant, and your arms are starting to feel the repetitive motion. That deep ache in the shoulders that comes with hours of the same movement. But you don't slow down. Can't slow down. Not until the crowd thins. And that won't happen for hours yet. Someone started playing the piano. Not well, but with enthusiasm. A ragtime tune. The rhythm bouncing and cheerful, cutting through the lower rumble of voices. A few men near the piano are singing along, or trying to, their voices blending and clashing in equal measure. It ain't beautiful, but it's lively, and it adds to the energy of the room. You notice the tenderfoot getting up, making his way to the bar. He orders another whiskey, and you pour it. His hand steadier now than it was an hour ago, but his eyes are still wide, still taking everything in. This is something, he says to you, gesturing at the room. You nod. It is something. It's life being lived, in all its messy, complicated glory. Is it always like this? He asks. Most nights, you tell him. Quieter on Sundays, but most nights, yeah. He pays for his drink and returns to Roscoe's table, with the old Cowboys lighting a cigar. The match flare briefly bright before settling to a coal red glow at the cigar's tip. The conversations around you are fragmenting now, harder to follow individual. It's just noise mostly, a wall of sound that you've learned to exist within, but occasional phrases cut through. Told him I wasn't moving the fence, and he could take it up with the law if he wanted. $3 for a new saddle blanket. Can you believe that? She says she's going back east, taking the children. Says she can't stand another winter. Lives being lived, problems being shared. The saloons where men bring their troubles, hoping that somehow talking about them will make them lighter. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but they keep coming anyway. You're refilling the peanut bowl when you hear glass break. Not loud, not dramatic, just a clean snap of a glass hitting the floor. Everyone pauses for half a second, looking toward the sound, but it's nothing. Just a man who fumbled his drink, who's now apologizing and kneeling to pick up the pieces. The moment passes. Conversation resumes. You grab a broom and help him clean up, sweeping glass into a pile, careful not to miss any slivers. This happens several times a night. Glasses break, things spill, men stumble. It's all part of the rhythm, the expected chaos of a busy saloon. You clean it up, you move on, you pour the next drink. The ranch hands are arguing now about something, not angry, but with the intensity of men who care about being right. It's about cattle breeding, you think, or maybe horse training. Something technical, something that matters in their world, but nowhere else. You don't follow the details, but you appreciate the passion. These are men who care about their work, who take pride in knowing things, in being skilled. That counts for something. The night's settling into its middle phase now. The initial rush has passed. Folks are committed to their spots. At the bar, at tables, at the gambling corner. They ain't coming and going as much anymore. They're settled in, and you're settled too, into the rhythm of serving them, of being the constant presence behind the bar while they drink and talk and play cards and slowly shed the day's burden. Roscoe's finally finished his lesson. The tenderfoot looks slight overwhelmed but grateful, shaking the old cowboy's hand with earnest appreciation. Roscoe waves him off, gruff but not unkind, and orders another whiskey. You pour it. He'll have one more after this, maybe two, and then he'll head back to the bunkhouse to sleep for 6 hours before dawn comes and the work begins again. This is the everyday life of 1899. Not glamorous, not particularly exciting. Just men working hard for little money, trying to get by, trying to find moments of comfort and connection in between the grinding hours of labor. The saloon provides those moments, and you provide the saloon in a way. You keep it running, you keep it safe, you keep the drinks flowing and the space functioning. It ain't a small thing that, though nobody thinks of it that way, you're just the bartender, just part of the furniture, but you know better. You know the saloon collapse without someone behind this bar, someone steady, someone who shows up every night and does the work that needs doing. So you pour another drink, and another, and another. The evening continues, the night deepens, and you remain. Night's settled and proper now. Full dark outside. The kind of dark you only get out here on the plains, where the nearest city's 100 miles off, and the stars pressed down close enough to touch. Through the top of the doorway, you can see them, scattered thick across the black. More stars than anyone could count. More than most folks back east ever see in their whole lives. Inside, the lamps are burning steady. The saloon's warm from all the bodies, from all the breath and conversation. You're still moving behind the bar, still pouring, still watching. Your shirt's damp with sweat now, the heat building as the evening wears on. But it's a good kind of tired, the kind that comes from honest work. A stranger pushes through the batwing doors. You notice him right away because you notice everyone. But this one's different. Older, maybe 55. Well dressed for out here. Clean vest, good hat, boots that ain't completely worn down. He's got the look of someone who's seen things, done things. The kind of weathered face that speaks to years of hard living that somehow didn't break him. He comes to the bar. You meet his eyes brief. He nods. "Whiskey," he says, voice gravelly but controlled. You pour. He pays without haggling. Takes the glass to a table in the corner. Not the gambling corner. Just a quiet spot where he can sit with his back to the wall and watch the room. Old habit, probably. The kind of habit that keeps a man alive in uncertain times. You've seen men like this before. Men who carry themselves careful, who watch doors and exits, who keep their gun hands free even when they're drinking. You don't know his story, won't ask, but you can read the signs. This is a man who's lived through the wild years, the real wild years, before the fences, before the railroads crisscrossed everything, before towns had proper law. The telegraph operator, Sparks, comes back through. He's got a folded paper in his hand, a telegram. He scans the room and spots a miner named Jackson at one of the tables. Walks over, hands him the paper. You watch Jackson's face as he reads it. See something shift there. Not grief exactly, but something heavy. He folds the paper slow, tucks it in his pocket, orders another whiskey. Don't say what the news was. Most folks don't. That's the telegraph for you, bringing the world to your doorstep, whether you want it or not. Could be good news, could be bad, could be nothing much at all, but arrives in dots and dashes, carried on copper wires strung pole to pole across the whole continent. Amazing thing, really, when you stop to think about it. A message from New York can reach here in minutes. Used to take weeks, months even, and now it's instant. The stranger in the corner's nursing his whiskey. You notice he ain't drinking fast, just sipping, watching. A couple of the regulars have noticed him too. You can see them glancing over, trying to figure him out. Strangers always draw attention, especially strangers who look like they might have stories worth hearing. Eventually, one of the ranch hands wanders over, the bold one, the one who's had just enough whiskey to feel friendly. "You just passing through?" he asks the stranger. The older man looks up, considers the question. "Maybe," he says. "Depends." "Depends on what?" "On whether this town's got anything worth staying for." The ranch hand grins. "Well, we got cattle. We got dust. We got this here saloon. That about covers it." The stranger almost smiles. "Same as everywhere else then. You've been traveling long. Long enough." The stranger takes another sip. "Seems like I've been traveling my whole life. Tell you the truth." The ranch hand pulls up a chair without asking. "You got a name, don't we all?" The stranger's tone ain't unfriendly, but it ain't exactly welcoming either. There's a wall there, polite but firm. The ranch hand gets the hint, nods. "Well, welcome to town anyway, such as it is." He stands, returns to his table, and the stranger goes back to his quiet watching. You've seen this dance 100 times. Strangers arriving, Locals try and figure them out. Most of the time, it's nothing, just a traveler passing through. But sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's someone running from something, or running towards something, or just running. A group of railroad men comes in, 4 of them, still wearing their work clothes, covered in coal dust and grease. They're loud, tired loud, the kind of loud that comes after a long shift doing dangerous work. They crowd up to the bar and order beer all around. You pour them quick. They drink faster. Track's been held this week. One of them saying, "We've been replacing ties for 3 days straight. Feels like every other one's rotten." "Company don't care," another one adds. "Long as the trains keep running. Don't matter if the whole thing's held together with spit and prayers." You listen without seeming to. The railroad's been out here for years now. Changed everything. Used to be you had to drive cattle hundreds of miles to reach a market. Now you just load them on a train, ship them east. Same with people. Same with goods. The railroad compressed distances, made the world smaller, made the West less wild. But it came with a cost. Always does. The railroad brought Chinese laborers, thousands of them. They laid the track, did the dangerous work, died in rock slides and accidents and from pure exhaustion. And when the work was done, most weren't welcome to stay. The railroads took their labor, and the towns took their money, and then passed laws to keep them out. That's the way of things. Ain't right, but it's the way it is. One of the railroad men's talking about a trip he took last month. Went all the way to Cheyenne in 6 hours. He's saying, 6 hours. My grandfather, he made that trip once. Took him 3 weeks by wagon, and now it's an afternoon. The world's speeding up. You can feel it, even out here, even in this little saloon, in this little town. The telegraph brings news instant. The trains move people and goods faster than horses ever could. There's talk of automobiles, of flying machines, of electricity in every home. The 20th century's coming fast, and 1899 sits right on the edge of it. 1 foot in the old world, 1 foot in the new. The stranger in the corner catches your eye, gestures for another whiskey. You bring it over yourself, set it down gentle. He nods his thanks, and then, surprising you, he speaks. "This town got a law?" he asks. "Sheriff," you say. "Name's Hawkins. Office is 2 blocks down." "He any good?" You shrug. "Good enough. Keeps things mostly peaceful." The stranger nods, takes a drink. "Times are changing," he says, more to himself than to you. Used to be a man could disappear out here. Start over. Now there's law everywhere. Telegraph. Records. Hard to stay lost. You don't respond to that. Just nod. You understand what he's saying. The frontier's closing. Has been for years. Most of the land's claimed now. Fenced. Divided up. The days of open range are ending. The big cattle drives are mostly done. Barbed wire cut up the prairie into parcels, and law followed the railroad. Town by town, county by county, the wild's being tamed, whether folks like it or not. The stranger seems to sense your understanding. "You ever hear of Wyatt Earp?" he asks. "Sure," you say. "Everyone's heard of Wyatt Earp. I knew him. Back in the day. Dodge City, then Tombstone." The stranger stares into his glass. Man was a lawman, but he was also a gambler, a saloon keeper. Not so different from anyone else. But the newspapers, the dime novels, they made him into something bigger, something he never was. You're interested now, despite yourself. You really knew him. I did. And Bad Masterson. And Doc Holliday before he died. All of them. He takes another sip. They're just men. That's what folks don't understand. Just men who happen to be in the right places. Or the wrong places. Depending on how you look at it. Where's Earp now, you ask? Last I heard, he's up in Alaska. No, running saloons and gambling halls up there during the gold rush. Man always goes where the money is. The stranger shakes his head. He ain't a marshal anymore. Ain't been for years. But the legend keeps growing. That's the funny thing about legends. They don't need the truth to survive. You think about that. About how stories get bigger than the people in them. How the West that folks back east imagine ain't the West you're standing in. They picture gunfights at high noon, heroic sheriffs, dastardly outlaws. But the reality's more complicated, more boring, more human. I heard Buffalo Bill's got a show, you say, traveling around, acting out the Old West for audiences. The stranger snorts. Buffalo Bill. Now there's a showman. I seen his Wild West show once. It's all fake. Staged. But folks eat it up. They want to believe in the myth. Want to think it was all adventure and glory. He pauses. Most of it was just dirt and work and dying young. There's a commotion near the gambling tables. Not a fight. Just someone winning big. Whooping and laughing, his friends slapping his back. The house rake's already been taken. The winner's gathering his coins, grinning wide. Tomorrow he'll probably lose it all back. That's usually how it goes. But tonight he's rich, and that's all that matters to him right now. You return to the bar. The stranger returns to his quiet corner, and the saloon keeps rolling forward. Music from the piano, conversations layering over each other, the clink of glasses, the scrape of chairs, all of it blending into the familiar symphony of a Saturday night. A cowboy you know slight, name of Peters, is telling someone about the Johnson County War. That was back in '92, 7 years ago now, but folks still talk about it. Big ranchers hired guns to kill the small operators, he's saying. Called them rustlers, but most weren't. They just had the bad luck to be in the way. Whole thing turned into a shooting war. Army had to come in and stop it. His listener's shaking his head. Law of the gun, he says. Law of money. Peters corrects. Big ranchers had money, had connections. Small guys didn't stand a chance. It's a familiar story out here. The big squeezing out the small. The powerful making the rules. It happened with cattle. It's happening with land. Probably happened with everything else too. The frontier promised equality. Promised every man a fair shot. But the reality's different. Money talks. Power wins. Same as it always has. You're wiping down the bar when you overhear two men discussing the Spanish-American War. That was last year. 1898, barely over. We beat them Spanish pretty quick, one saying. Took Cuba, took the Philippines. Now we're an empire, like it or not. My cousin fought in that, the other responds. Said it was mostly disease that killed folks. Fever. Dysentery, not bullets. Always is, the first man says. War's mostly about suffering. Glory's just what they put in the newspapers. The 20th century is gonna be different. You can feel it coming. America's bigger now, more powerful. Got territories overseas. Got factories churning out goods. Got cities growing faster than anyone can keep up with. And out here on the frontier, the old ways are fading. The cowboys, the outlaws, the open range, all of it passing into memory. The stranger finishes his second whiskey and stands, stretches. You see the stiffness in his movements. Old injuries, old pains. He comes to the bar, lays down coins for both drinks and a little extra, tips his hat to you. Good whiskey, he says. Good place. You staying in town? You ask. Maybe. That same answer. Maybe not. Depends on what tomorrow brings. And then he's gone, out through the swinging doors into the night. You watch him disappear. Wonder who he really was, what he's seen, what he's running from or toward. But you'll probably never know. That's the way of the frontier. Folks come and go, leave pieces of their stories behind, but never the whole thing. Never enough to really understand. The saloon's still packed, but there's a different quality to it now. Deeper into the night means deeper into the drinks. Means conversations are getting louder, meaner in some cases, friendlier in others. Alcohol does that. Strips away the careful politeness, shows you what's underneath. Sometimes that's brotherhood, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's just sadness looking for a place to land. Jesse, the vaquero, is talking with one of the miners. They're discussing the reservation up north, where the Northern Cheyenne are confined. My cousin works at the agency, Jesse's saying. Says it's bad up there. Not enough food, not enough supplies. Government promised them things, never delivered. The miner nods. Same story everywhere. Make promises, break promises, push them onto land nobody else wants. Then act surprised when folks are angry. They've been here longer than any of us, Jesse says quiet. This was their land, their buffalo, their whole world, and we took it. Simple as that. The miner don't argue, can't argue. It's true. Everyone knows it's true. The settling of the West meant the displacement of the people who were already here, meant broken treaties, forced relocations, wars, massacres. The weight of that history sits heavy, even in the middle of a crowded saloon, even in the middle of a Saturday night. You pour another round, and another. Your arms are tired now. Your feet hurt. Your back aches. But you keep going, because that's the job. The saloon don't stop until closing time, and closing time's still hours away. A young cowboy's talking about wanting to join the Wild Bunch, Butch Cassidy's gang. They're still out there, he's saying, excited, drunk, robbing trains, living free. That's the real West, not this. He gestures around the saloon, not working for $30 a month and breaking your back. His friend's more sober, more sensible. They're criminals, he says. They'll all end up dead or in prison. You want that? Better than this, the young one insists. At least they're living. You've heard this conversation before too. Young men romanticizing the outlaw life, seeing it as freedom, as adventure, not understanding that most outlaws live hard and die young, that the freedom they imagine is really just running, always running, never settling, never trusting anyone. That ain't freedom. That's just a different kind of prison. But you don't say nothing. Ain't your place to lecture. You just pour the drinks and let folks figure things out on their own. Or not figure them out. Either way, the piano player's slowing down, playing something softer now. A ballad, something melancholy. A few folks are humming along. The energy in the room's shifting from the bright, loud energy of early evening to something heavier, more reflective. This is the hour when men start thinking, start feeling, when the whiskey loosens not just tongues, but hearts. You see it in their faces. The one sitting alone now, staring into their glasses, Thinking about home, maybe, or people they've lost, or choices they wish they could unmake. The saloon sees all of it. Joy and sorrow, brotherhood and loneliness, hope and regret, all of it mixing together under the lamplight and tobacco smoke. A freight hauler named Morrison's talking about the price of everything going up. Used to be you could get a decent meal for 2 bits, he's saying. Now it's 50 cents, sometimes more, and wages ain't keeping up. Working man can't hardly get by anymore. That's progress, someone else says. Bitter. Everything costs more. Everything takes more. And we just keep working. Keep grinding. For what? For survival, Morrison says. What else is there? The question hangs in the air. What else is there? Out here on the edge of everything. Working hard. Barely getting by. Watching the world change around you. Watching the old ways disappear. What else is there but survival? But keeping your head down and doing the work and hoping tomorrow's a little easier than today. You don't have an answer for that. Nobody does. The night deepens. The conversations continue. And you stand behind the bar, constant as the wood beneath your hands, as the mirror at your back, as the lamplight that'll burn until dawn comes and starts the whole cycle over again. This is the world coming in, the wider world, the world of telegraphs and railroads and changing times, the world of old legends and new empires, the world of displacement and progress and the slow, grinding weight of history. And you're here, bearing witness, pouring drinks, listening to it all. The saloon holds it, holds all of it, every story, every pain, every hope. The swinging doors keep moving, the drinks keep flowing, and the night keeps deepening. Out here on the frontier that ain't quite a frontier anymore. In this saloon that's more than just a saloon. In this moment that's already becoming memory, even as it's being lived. You pour another drink. The night continues. And somewhere out there in the darkness, the future's coming, whether anyone's ready for it or not. Midnight's come and gone. You didn't see it pass. Don't need a clock to know. You can feel it. The way the air's changed. The way the energy's shifted. This is the deep part of the night. The bottom of it. Where everything slows down even further. Where time stretches long and quiet. The crowd's thin some more. Maybe 30 men left. Maybe less. Hard to count in the dim light. In the smoke. In the haze that's settled over everything like a veil. The loud ones have gone home. The rowdy ones have worn themselves out. What's left are the steady drinkers. The quiet ones. The ones who ain't ready for the night. To end yet. You're wiping glasses. Same as always. The towel moving in slow circles. The glass catching what little light there is. Turning it. Reflecting it back. Your movements are automatic now. Don't even think about them. Just let your hands do what they know how to do. A card game's still going in the back. Poker. Been going for hours now. The same 4 men. You hear the soft slap of cards on felt. The quiet murmur of bets being placed. Chips clicking as they change hands. No one's talking much. Just playing. Just focused on the cards and the odds and whatever small dramas are unfolding in their hands. One of them's winning steady. You can tell by his posture, the way he sits. Relaxed, confident, not cocky, just comfortable. He knows the cards, knows the other players, knows when to bet and when to fold. That's the mark of a good player, not the one who wins every hand. but the one who knows which hands to play. The others are losing slow, bleeding coins and bills across the table. But they keep playing, because that's what you do. You play until you're broke, or until the game ends, whichever comes first. And this game ain't ending anytime soon. You pour a beer for a cowboy who's been sitting at the bar for the past hour. Ain't said more than 3 words the whole time. Just sitting, drinking slow, staring at nothing. You wonder what he's thinking about. What keeps a man out this late, this quiet? Could be loneliness, could be avoiding something at home, could be he just likes the company without having to engage in it. You set the beer in front of him. He nods slight, takes a drink, returns to his staring, and you return to your work. The piano sits silent now, has been for a while. The player left, or maybe he's sleeping somewhere. You didn't notice him go, but the piano's empty, the keys untouched, and the room's quieter for it. Just voices now, just the ambient sound of men existing in a shared space. Someone's telling a story at one of the tables. You catch pieces of it as you move around. Something about a winter storm, back in '88 or '89. The voice is low, steady, the kind of voice that's told this story before, that knows the beats, knows where to pause, knows how to hold attention even when folks are half drunk and half asleep. Snow came down so thick you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. We were out on the range, trying to get the cattle to shelter, but they scattered, went every direction, and we just had to let them go. Had to find our own way back. You've heard stories like this. Winter out here can kill you. Quick. People back east don't understand that. They think the West is all sunshine and heat. But winter on the plains is brutal. Wind that cuts through every layer. Cold that freezes your breath. Snow that buries everything. Folks die out here every winter. Lost in storms. Frozen in their beds. It's just part of life. Found 3 of them dead the next morning. Froze solid. And we lost maybe 200 head. Never found most of them. Just gone. That storm wiped out half our herd. The table's quiet, listening. Even the drunk ones are paying attention, because they know. They've lived through storms, through losses, through the hard reality of trying to survive out here. The story ain't entertainment. It's shared experience. It's acknowledgement of what everyone at that table understands. You check the lamps. They're burning low now. Real low. Won't last much longer without fresh oil. But you let them be. They'll make it to closing. Probably. And if they don't, well, there's enough other light to finish the night. A miner comes in. Late arrival. His face showing exhaustion deeper than just one day's work. The kind of tired that accumulates. That builds over weeks and months. He sits at the bar. Orders whiskey. You pour. He drinks it in one go. Orders another. You pour again. Long shift, you ask. He nods. 16 hours. Tunnel collapsed. Had to dig out. He takes the second drink slower. Nobody died, but it was close. You nod. Mining's dangerous work. Maybe the most dangerous work out here. Men go down into the earth, into the dark, trusting timber and stone and luck to keep them alive. And sometimes that trust is misplaced. Sometimes the mountain takes what it wants. You hurt? You ask. Bruised, he says. Nothing broke. He finishes his drink, lays down coins. Thanks. And then he's gone, out into the night. Walking back to wherever he sleeps, to rest for a few hours before going back down into the dark, back into the earth, back to the work that's slowly killing him. That's the thing about the West that folks don't talk about much. It ain't the gunfights that kill most people. It ain't the outlaws or the Indians or the wild animals. It's the work. The daily, grinding, dangerous work. Mining, ranching, railroad, all of it taking pieces of men, wearing them down until there ain't nothing left. You're refilling the peanut bowl when you notice a man you ain't seen before, sitting alone in the corner. Not the same corner the stranger from earlier took. A different corner, darker, more hidden. He's got a hat pulled low, face in shadow, nursing a drink that's barely been touched. You watch him for a moment. Can't see much, but there's something about the way he holds himself. Tense, alert, like he's ready to move quick if he needs to. You've seen that posture before, on men who've done things, or had things done to them. Men who can't quite relax, who always keep one eye on the door. He catches you looking. Your eyes meet for just a second, and in that second, there's a recognition, not of who he is, but of what he is. Someone passing through, someone who don't want to be noticed, someone who's got reasons for being careful. You look away, give him his privacy. Ain't your business. As long as he pays for his drink and don't cause trouble, he can sit in that corner all night if he wants. The card game's getting tense now. You can feel it from across the room. One of the players just lost big. You didn't see the hand, but you see the aftermath. The way he's sitting, rigid, angry. The way the winner's staying careful, not gloating, not celebrating, just collecting his chips quiet, respectful. This is the moment that could go bad. This is where fights start. When a man's lost more than he can afford. When pride's been wounded. When the whiskey's removed just enough sense to make violence seem reasonable. You watch, ready to step in if needed. But the moment passes. The loser takes a breath, nods. Good hand, he says. Voice tight, but controlled. The winner nods back. Lucky cards. And just like that, the tension releases. The game continues. Crisis averted. You return to your work, but you stay aware. Stay watchful, because the night ain't over yet. A conversation nearby catches your ear. Two men talking about the Homestead Act, about claiming land, about trying to make a go of farming out here on the plains. Filed my claim last spring. Got 160 acres, about 15 miles north. You making it work? Barely. Soil's harder than I expected. And the wind. Lord, the wind never stops. It dries everything out. Blows away anything that ain't nailed down. You gonna stick with it? Silence for a moment. Then, don't know. Have to. Spent everything I got on that claim. On seed. On tools. If I give up now, I got nothing. That's another common story out here. Homesteaders coming west. Promised free land. Promised opportunity. And finding out that 160 acres of prairie don't guarantee success. Finding out that farming this land takes more than hope and hard work. Takes luck. Takes rain. Takes things you can't control. Most homesteaders fail. The land defeats them. Or the weather defeats them. Or they just can't take the isolation. The loneliness. The endless sky. And the endless work. And the endless struggle against elements that don't care if you live or die. But some make it. Some figure it out. Adapt. Survive. And their children become the next generation. The ones who'll inherit this land. Who'll shape whatever comes next. You're wiping the bar when someone asks for coffee. You got a pot still warm on the stove. Not fresh. Been sitting there for hours. But it's coffee. You pour a cup. Hand it over. The man wraps both hands around it, letting the warmth seep into his palms. He don't drink right away, just holds it, like the heat's more valuable than the drink itself. It's getting colder outside. You can feel it, the temperature dropping as the night deepens. By dawn it'll be downright cold. Men will be waking up to frost on the ground, ice in the water troughs. That first shock of cold air when they step outside. Another day beginning, another cycle starting. The man in the corner finally finishes his drink, stands, moves toward the door, careful, deliberate, like he's measuring every step. He passes close to the bar, and for just a moment, you see his face clear. He's younger than you expected, maybe 30, but his eyes are old, tired, like he's seen too much, done too much, become too much of whatever he became. He nods to you as he passes. You nod back, and then he's gone. Another ghost. Another story you'll never know the full truth of. That's most of what you see and hear. Fragments, pieces, the middle parts of stories without knowing the beginnings or the ends. You get glimpses into lives, into struggles, into moments, but never the whole picture. Never enough to really understand. And maybe that's all right. Maybe that's how it should be. Everyone carrying their own weight, their own history, their own secrets, and the saloon just being the place where those histories overlap for a few hours, where those secrets rest quiet, where men can be whoever they need to be without explanation. A ranch hand you recognize comes in, late for him. Usually he's gone by now. He orders beer, stands at the bar, looks tired, more tired than usual. Everything all right? You ask. He shrugs. Horse through me today. Landed hard. Everything hurts. You see a doctor? Can't afford a doctor. I'll be fine. Just need a drink and some sleep. You pour him a second beer without him asking. On the house. He looks at you, surprised, then nods his thanks. Takes the beer to a table. Sits slow, careful, favoring his left side. He'll be back in the saddle tomorrow, because he has to be. Because the work don't stop for injuries. Don't stop for pain. You work hurt or you don't work at all. And if you don't work, you don't eat. Simple as that. The card game's winding down. The chips are mostly in front of one player now. The others are tapped out, or close to it. They'll play a few more hands. Let the winner have his moment. Then they'll cash out, head home, sleep it off. And tomorrow they'll probably be back, trying to win back what they lost. That's how gambling works. That's how it always works. You sweep a small section of floor, the broom making soft sounds against the wood, the sawdust gathering in small piles. You'll do the whole floor later. But for now, just this small area. Just keeping busy. Just moving through the familiar motions. The night's reached that strange plateau, where it ain't getting busier, but it ain't ending neither. Just existing. Just holding this space. This moment. This particular configuration of people and lamplight and quiet conversation. You think about all the nights that came before this one. All the nights that'll come after. How they all blend together. How they're all the same. And all different. Same space. Same bar. Same work. But different people. Different conversations. Different small dramas playing out. 5 years you've been doing this. 5 years of nights. Of pouring drinks. Of watching people. Of being the constant in a place built for transients. And you'll probably do it for 5 more years. Maybe longer. Because what else would you do? Where else would you go? This is your place. Your purpose. Your role in this small corner of the West. A man at a table raises his hand. Signals for another round. You bring over the bottle. Pour for him and his companion. Collect the money. Return to the bar. The routine so ingrained you could do it blind. Could do it in your sleep. Maybe you are doing it in your sleep. Maybe you've been asleep this whole time and just dreaming these endless repetitive motions. But no, you're awake. Tired but awake. Present. Here, doing the work. Being who you are. The bartender. The witness. The keeper of this space. The lamps flicker slight. A draft from somewhere. The flames dance. Then steady. The shadows shifting. Then settling. Everything moving. Everything still. All at once. You hear laughter from one of the tables. Not loud. Just a low chuckle. Someone told a joke. Or said something clever. And for just a moment, there's genuine amusement. Genuine lightness. A brief respite from whatever weight these men carry. And that's worth something too. That moment of laughter. That brief forgetting. That small gift of not being quite so burdened for just a few seconds. The saloon provides that, among other things. It provides spaces for laughter, for forgetting, for being lighter than you are outside these walls. The clock on the wall says it's past 1 now. Deep into the night, deep into the shift. Your feet hurt, your back hurts, your arms hurt from all the pouring, all the wiping, all the repetitive motion. But you keep going, because that's what you do. That's what you've always done. Keep going, keep moving, keep working. The deep night continues. The quiet hour stretches on, and you remain behind the bar, steady, reliable, constant, pouring drinks, watching the room, bearing witness to this particular moment, in this particular place, in this particular time. 1899, the frontier closing, the West changing, the old ways fading into the new. And here you stand, in the middle of it all, not making history, not shaping the future, just doing your work, just being present, just keeping the saloon running one drink at a time. The night deepens, the conversations continue, and somewhere out there, beyond these walls, beyond this town, the world keeps turning. But in here, in this moment, everything's still. Everything's calm. Everything's exactly as it should be. The deep night holds you, holds everyone, in its quiet embrace, and you pour another drink. Time's gotten thick now, heavy. The way it does deep into a drinking night. The lamps seem dimmer somehow, even though they're burning the same as before. The smoke's layered itself into a haze that hangs below the ceiling. Blue-gray, drifting slow. You can taste it when you breathe. Tobacco and coal oil and the accumulated breath of 50 men. The crowd's thin some, not a lot. But enough that you can see empty chairs here and there. Folks who called it early, headed back to bunkhouses or boarding rooms or wherever they lay their heads at night. The ones who remain are the serious drinkers, the lonely ones, the ones with nowhere else to be, or the ones who just ain't ready for the night to end yet. You're still behind the bar, still moving, though your movements are slower now. More deliberate. Your feet ache something fierce. Your back's tight. Your shoulders burn from the repetitive motion of pouring. But you're used to this. This deep fatigue that comes with the late hours. You've learned to work through it. To find a kind of rhythm in the exhaustion. A cowboy named Sullivan's been at the bar for hours now. You've lost count of how many drinks he's had. 7, maybe 8. His eyes have that glassy look, that faraway quality. He's past the point of cheerful drunk. past the point of loud drunk. Now he's in that quiet, contemplative place where men go when the whiskey's soaked all the way through. You ever think about leaving? He asks you, his words slightly slurred, but coherent enough. You look at him. Leaving where? Here, this town, this life. He gestures vague at the room, at everything. Just packing up and going somewhere else. Starting over. You shrug. Where would I go? I don't know. California, maybe. I hear there's opportunity out there. Or up to Alaska. Gold rush is still going. Man could make his fortune. Man could also freeze to death, you say, or lose everything he's got. Sullivan nods slow, like this is profound wisdom. Yeah, I reckon that's true. He stares into his glass. But sometimes I think anything'd be better than another year of this. Same work, same pay, same everything. You don't respond to that. What could you say? You understand the feeling, the weight of routine, the sense that life's just repeating itself over and over. Same days, same nights, same conversations. But you also know that running don't solve nothing. The problems you're running from usually follow you wherever you go. Sullivan drinks, sets his glass down. I'm gonna do it, he says, voice quiet but certain. Come spring, I'm heading west. Gonna see the ocean. Gonna try my luck out there. You've heard this before too. Men making declarations deep in their cups, swearing they'll change their lives. Come morning, most of them forget they said it, and the ones who remember usually don't follow through. The inertia's too strong, the fear's too big, so they stay. Keep doing what they've always done, because at least it's familiar, at least it's known. But maybe Sullivan's different. Maybe he'll actually do it. You hope he does. Hope he finds whatever he's looking for out there. At one of the tables, old Roscoe's telling a story. The tenderfoot's long gone. A few other men have gathered round to listen. Roscoe's voice carries just enough for you to catch pieces of it. This was back in '76. We were driving a herd up from Texas. 3,000 head, maybe more. Took us near 4 months to get them to Kansas. His voice has that quality of someone who's told this story 100 times, but still finds something worth telling in it. Had a stampede one night. Thunder spooked them, and they just took off. All of them, running blind in the dark. Someone asks a question, too quiet for you to hear. Lost about 100 head. Roscoe continues. Some went off a cliff. Some just ran till they dropped. Some we never found. And one cowboy, young kid, name of hell. I can't remember his name now. But he got trampled. Died right there. We buried him on the prairie. No marker. No nothing. Just a mound of rocks. There's silence at the table. The kind of silence that holds weight. That was the life, Roscoe says. That was the real cowboy life. Not what they write about in the magazines. Not Buffalo Bill's show. It was hard and dangerous, and most of us were just trying not to die. He takes a drink. But I'll tell you something. I miss it. I miss those drives. Miss sleeping under stars. Miss the bigness of it all. The way you could ride for days and never see another soul. Why'd you stop? Someone asks. Railroad killed it. Roscoe says. Simple. Factual. Why drive cattle 1,000 miles when you can load them on a train and ship them in a week? The trail's closed. The big ranches bought up the land, and men like me became just hired hands, working for wages instead of shares. It ain't the same. You hear the loss in his voice, the mourning for a way of life that's gone, and you understand it. Even though you never lived that life yourself, never made those drives, never slept out under that big sky. But you understand what it means to watch the world change, to see the things you knew disappear, to feel like you are becoming obsolete in your own lifetime. A miner's arguing with a ranch hand about which is harder work, mining or cowboying. It's a pointless argument. Both jobs are brutal. Both break men down. But they're too drunk to see that. Too invested in their own suffering to acknowledge anyone else's. You try swinging a pickaxe 10 hours a day, the miner's saying, in the dark, in the dust, never knowing if the tunnel's gonna collapse on your head. You try riding in weather so cold your fingers freeze to the reins. The ranch hand shoots back, or so hot you can barely breathe. 14 hours in the saddle, every day, no breaks, no shelter. They'll probably argue about this until one of them gives up or passes out. It don't matter who wins. They're both right. They're both suffering. That's the only truth that matters. You're refilling someone's glass when you hear laughter from the gambling corner. Look over and see a card game breaking up. The men standing, shaking hands, money changing pockets. A good game, apparently. No accusations of cheating, no hard feelings. Just men who played cards and now they're done. One of them comes to the bar, orders whiskey. You know him slight. Name's Garrett, not the famous Pat Garrett who killed Billy the Kid. Just a regular man who happens to share the name. He's told you before how annoying that is. How people always ask. Always want to know if he's related. If he's met the real Pat Garrett. He ain't, and he hasn't. Good night. You ask as you pour. Fair night, Garrett says. Won a little, lost a little, broke even more or less. He drinks, winces. Your whiskey ain't getting any smoother. Ain't supposed to be smooth, you say. Supposed to be strong. He laughs at that. A short bark of amusement. Fair enough. There's a crash from somewhere. Glass breaking. Louder this time. You look toward the sound. See two men standing, facing each other. One of them's knocked over his chair. The other's got his hand on his belt, near where a gun might be, if he's carrying, which he probably is. Most men are. The room goes quiet. That instant hush that happens when violence might be coming. Everyone watching, everyone tense, ready to move, ready to duck, ready to run if things go bad. You come around the bar, moving quick but not running. Gentlemen, you say, voice calm, steady. We ain't doing this here. The two men are staring at each other. One's face is red, the other's pale, both breathing hard. He called me a cheat, the red-faced one says, not taking his eyes off the other man. Did you cheat? You ask. No. Then he's wrong, you say. Simple as that. And you can let it go. Or you can take it outside. But you ain't fighting in here. There's a long moment. Could go either way. Your hand's ready to grab something if you need to. A bottle, a club, whatever's closest. But you keep your face calm. Keep your voice level. Treating this like it ain't nothing. Like it's already over. Finally, the pale one breaks eye contact. Wasn't calling you a cheat, he mutters. Said you were sharp. There's a difference. The red-faced one considers this, then nods. Slow. All right then. He picks up his chair, sits back down. The other man does the same. And just like that, it's over. The room exhales. Conversations resume. The moment passes. You return to the bar. Your heart's beating a little faster, but you don't show it. Can't show it. You're the bartender. You're supposed to be unshakable. supposed to handle these things smooth, make them look easy even when they ain't. That's the thing folks don't understand about saloon work. It ain't just pouring drinks. It's managing people, managing tensions, reading a room, knowing when to step in and when to stay back, knowing how to defuse things before they explode. Most nights you do it a dozen times. Little interventions, small words, keeping the peace without anyone really noticing you're doing it. A man you don't know well is talking to anyone who'll listen about a bar fight he saw once. This was down in Abilene, he's saying. Two cowboys got into it over a woman. Started with words, then shoving, then fists. Then one of them pulled a knife. What happened, someone asks. Marshall broke it up before anyone got killed, but one of them lost an ear. Other one had his face cut up pretty bad. The man shakes his head, all over a woman who didn't want either of them anyway. That's usually how it goes, someone else comments. Fighting over things that don't matter, or things that matter too much, comes to the same end either way. The piano player's given up. The piano sits silent now. The music's reduced to the ambient sound of the saloon itself. Voices, glasses, the creak of chairs, the scrape of boots. It's enough. Don't need music. The room makes its own song. Roscoe's still talking. Now he's on about bad Masterson. Knew him in Dodge, he's saying. Before he went east and became a newspaper man. He was a good lawman. Fair, but tough when he needed to be. The thing about Bat was he didn't go looking for fights, but he didn't back down from them neither. You kill many men, someone asks. Fewer than you'd think, Roscoe says. Most of these famous gunmen, they didn't kill near as many folks as the stories say. Doc Holliday, maybe he killed 3 men, maybe 4, but the way people talk, you'd think he left a trail of bodies everywhere he went. Truth is, most of them avoided killing when they could. Killing brings too much attention, too many consequences. What about Billy the Kid? Dead, Roscoe says flat. Pat Garrett shot him in 1881. The kid was what, 21? 22. Just a boy, really. But the newspapers made him into this big outlaw, this desperado. And maybe he was. Maybe he wasn't. Hard to separate the man from the myth now. That word again. Myth. The story's getting bigger than the truth. The West that people imagine versus the West that actually exists. Out here in this saloon, with these tired men drinking their tired drinks, the truth's more mundane, more human. But maybe that's what makes it worth something. The fact that it's real, that happened, that these men lived it. Sullivan's head is drooping now, starting to nod off at the bar. You've seen this plenty. Men drinking themselves into unconsciousness. You let him sit a while longer. Then you'll wake him gentle. Point him toward home. Most nights they make it. Some nights they don't. Sleep it off in an alley or a stable. Wake up cold and sick and swearing they'll never drink again. Until the next night when they're back. A conversation nearby is about women. Always a popular topic this late, when the loneliness sets in heavy. I had a wife once, someone saying, back in Missouri. Left her when I came west. Told her I'd send for her once I got settled. That was 6 years ago. You ever send for her? No, never got settled. Never made enough. And after a while, I figured she was better off without me anyway. There's sadness in that. The kind of sadness that sits at the bottom of a whiskey glass. The regrets. The choices that can't be unmade. The people left behind. The lives not lived. All of it preserved in alcohol. Pickled and kept. Never quite forgotten, but never quite confronted neither. You've heard 1,000 sad stories in this saloon. Men talking about the children they ain't seen in years. The parents who died while they were out here chasing fortune. The opportunities missed. The promises broken. The dreams that turn to dust. It all comes out late at night, when the defenses are down, when the whiskey's done its work, and you listen. Don't comment. Don't judge. Just listen. Because sometimes that's all a man needs. Someone to hear him, to witness his pain, to acknowledge that a story matters, even if it's a common story, even if it's the same as 100 others. It's a story, and that makes it matter. The night's stretching now. Time's lost its normal shape. Could be midnight, could be 2 in the morning. Hard to tell. The lamps are burning lower. The conversations are softer, more slurred. The energy's fading, winding down toward whatever conclusion the night's gonna find. You're wiping glasses, slow and methodical, one after another, the towel making soft squeaking sounds against the wet glass. It's meditative work. Don't require thought, just attention, just presence. Your hands know what to do. Someone's snoring at one of the tables, head down on folded arms, dead to the world. You wake him before you close, but for now let him sleep. Ain't hurting nothing. The ranch hand and the miner have stopped arguing. Now they're sitting together in companionable silence, the argument forgotten or set aside. Both of them just tired men who worked too hard for too little. The specifics don't matter as much as the shared experience of it. Roscoe's finally winding down. His audience has dwindled to one, a young cowboy who's hanging on every word, soaking up the stories, the history, the lived experience of someone who was there when the West was still wild, when the trails were open, when a man could still disappear into the vastness and make himself new. The thing you gotta understand, Roscoe's saying, voice lower now, tired, is that we didn't know we were living in special times. Didn't know it was all ending. We just thought that's how life was, how it would always be. And then one day you look around and it's all different. And you're different. And the world's moved on without asking your permission. The young cowboy nods, like he understands. But he don't. Not really. Can't understand until he lives it himself. Until he watches his own world change. His own certainties crumble. That's a lesson that can't be taught. Only learned. You're tired. Bone tired. The kind of tired that goes deeper than just needing sleep. The kind that accumulates over days, weeks, years. Tired of standing in the same spot, doing the same work, watching the same patterns repeat. But you don't think about it much. What would be the point? This is the job. This is the life you've chosen, or the life that's chosen you. Same difference in the end. The night continues, slower now, winding down like a clock that's running out of tension. Men finishing their drinks, standing on unsteady legs, nodding goodbyes, heading out into the cold dark, walking back to wherever they came from, back to beds or bedrolls or empty rooms, back to sleep and then waking and then doing it all again tomorrow. The swinging doors move, in and out, letting the cold air drift in, letting the warm air drift out, mixing the inside with the outside, the saloon with the street, the now with the whatever comes next. You pour another drink, and another. The bottle's getting light, nearly empty. You'll need to open a new one soon. The barrel's running low. You make a mental note. More to order, more to restock. The business of keeping the saloon running never stops. Even in the quiet moments, even in the spaces between customers, the work continues. Sullivan finally wakes himself, shakes his head like a dog shaking off water, looks around confused for a moment, then remembers where he is. He stands, fumbles in his pocket, lays down some coins. You don't count them. Don't matter if it's exact. Close enough. You getting home all right? You ask. He nods. Yeah, I'm good. He ain't good, but he'll make it. Probably. Most do. You watch him navigate toward the door. See him push through into the night. And then he's gone. One less body in the room. One less voice in the mix. The saloon's almost quiet now. Almost peaceful. The late night hush settling in. The hour when the loudest drunks have left or passed out. When the ones remaining are too tired to make much noise. When everything softens, becomes gentler, more forgiving. This is your favorite part of the night, if you're honest. When the chaos fades, when the pressure eases, when you can just exist in the space, tend to the small tasks, wipe the bar, stack the glasses, refill the lamps, prepare for the final stretch before closing. The night's almost over, but not quite. There's still a few hours left, still a few drinks to pour, still a few men to serve, still the work to do. So you do it, one glass at a time, one conversation at a time, one moment at a time. The saloon holds it all. The stories, the pain, the brief moments of connection, the longer stretches of loneliness, all of it happening here, under these lamps, between these walls, in this space that's more than just a room. That's a refuge, a meeting place, a confessional, a stage where small dramas play out night after night. And you're here, bearing witness, keeping it running, making sure the drinks keep flowing and the space stays safe, and the night unfolds the way it's supposed to. The bartender, the constant, the one who remains. Lamps are burning real low now. Wicks need trimming, but you'll let them be. Won't be much longer anyway. The oil's running down, the flames getting smaller, dimmer. The whole room's taking on a softer quality, like everything's wrapped in gauze, muffled, distant. There's maybe a dozen men left, some at tables, a few at the bar, one asleep in the corner, his hat pulled down over his face, chest rising and falling slow. Regular, the sleep of the thoroughly drunk, or the thoroughly exhausted, or both. You're moving slower now. Everything's slower. The whole world's wound down to this gentle, quiet pace. Even the conversations have faded to murmurs, soft sounds that barely break the silence, like folks are afraid to speak too loud, afraid to disturb whatever peace has settled over the room. The swinging doors ain't swinging much anymore. They hang still, nearly motionless. The last person came through maybe 20 minutes ago, or maybe it was longer. Time's strange at this hour, elastic, unreliable. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like minutes. All of it blending together into one long, continuous moment. You pick up a glass, wipe it, set it down, pick up another. The rhythm soothing, mindless. Your body doing the work while your mind drifts, thinking about nothing in particular, just existing in the moment, in the quiet, in the almost doneness of it all. Someone coughs. The sound seems loud in the stillness, but then it fades, and the quiet returns, deeper now, more complete. The stove in the corner's dying down too, the fire inside burning low. You can see the faint glow through the vents, orange, warm, but fading, like everything else. The heat's still there, but gentler now. The kind of warmth that makes you drowsy, makes your eyelids heavy. You think about the night, all the people who came through, all the drinks poured, all the conversations overheard. It's already becoming a blur. Individual moments standing out here and there, but mostly just a general sense of it. The flow, the rhythm, the accumulated weight of hours and voices and presence. Roscoe left a while back, or maybe it was recent. Hard to remember. He paid his tab, tipped his hat, walked out into the dark, going back to whatever bunk he calls home, to sleep for a few hours before the work starts again. The endless cycle. Work and sleep and drink and work again. The tenderfoot's long gone, probably tucked into a bed at the boarding house, dreaming about the West he imagined, the West that don't quite match the reality he found. But maybe he'll adjust, maybe he'll stay, make a life here, or maybe he'll be on the next train east, back to Philadelphia, back to whatever he left behind. You'll probably never know which. A man at the bar signals for another whiskey. You pour it. Your movement's automatic, practiced. You could do this blind, could do it in your sleep, and maybe you are sleeping in a way. That part of your brain that stays awake while the rest shuts down. The part that keeps you functioning even when you're past the point of tired. The man takes the glass, nods his thanks. Don't speak. Don't need to. Everything's been said already, or nothing needed saying in the first place. Hard to tell which. You look at the clock on the wall. The hands say it's almost 3. 3 in the morning. The dead hour. The hour when the world's at its quietest. When even the drunks have gone home. When the night's almost over, but dawn ain't quite here yet. The in-between time. The liminal space. There's a beauty to it, though. This hour. This emptiness. After the noise and the crowd and the constant demands. After all of that, this feels like a gift. A moment of peace before you have to do it all again tomorrow. You start the closing routine. Slow, no rush. Collecting glasses from tables, wiping them down, stacking them behind the bar. The tower of clean glasses growing. Evidence of work done, of another night completed. The sleeping man in the corner stirs. Shifts, but don't wake. You'll get to him in a minute. Let him have his rest a little longer. Ain't hurting nothing. You move to the gambling tables, collecting cards, stacking chips, the felt stained in places, worn thin in others. This table's seen thousands of games, thousands of bets, thousands of wins and losses, all of it absorbed into the fabric, into the wood beneath, into the memory of the place. Someone stands to leave. An older man, moves careful, like his joints hurt, like every step's an effort. He nods to you as he passes. You nod back, and then he's through the doors, into the night. Another soul returning to wherever souls go at this hour. The room's emptier now, easier to see the floor. The sawdust's dark with spills and tracked in mud. Tomorrow you'll sweep it all up, lay down fresh, start clean. But for now, it just is what it is. The accumulated debris of the evening, the physical record of all that happened here. You blow out one of the lamps, the one that's burned lowest. The flame gutters, smokes, goes out. The room gets darker, but not much. There's still enough light from the others. Still enough to see by, to work by, to finish what needs finishing. A man at a table's nursing what must be his last drink, staring into it like it holds answers, or maybe just staring because his eyes need somewhere to land. You've seen that look 1,000 times. The faraway gaze, the mind somewhere else, somewhere distant, somewhere that ain't here. You wonder what he's thinking about. what anyone's thinking about at this hour. Regrets, maybe, or memories, or tomorrow's work, or nothing at all. Just a blank, tired space that comes when you've been awake too long and drunk too much. The doors creak slight in a breeze. Cool air drifts in. You can smell it, the pre-dawn smell, different from the night smell, cleaner somehow, like the world's getting ready to start fresh, getting ready to begin again. You collect more glasses, more cleanup. Your feet hurt something fierce. You shift your weight, try to ease the aching, but it don't help much. Just gotta endure it. Couple more hours and you can sit, can rest, can let your body recover before the next shift. The man who was staring into his drink finishes it, sets the glass down gentle, stands, moves toward the door, stops, turns back. Thanks, he says. Quiet, almost too quiet to hear. Welcome, you say. Same volume, same quiet tone. And then he's gone, and there's fewer still. You wipe down the bar. The wood's sticky in places. Needs a good scrubbing, but that'll wait for daylight. For now, you just clear the worst of it. Make it presentable. Good enough. The sleeping man's still sleeping. You walk over, touch his shoulder gentle. Hey, you say. Time to go. He startles, looks up confused, takes a moment to remember where he is, then nods, stands unsteady, nearly trips over his own feet, but catches himself. What time is it, he asks, words slurred. Late, you say, or early, depends how you look at it. He nods like this is profound, fumbles in his pocket, pulls out some coins. You wave them away. He already paid, but he don't remember, so you just take a couple. Just enough to make him feel right about it, and let him keep the rest. He makes his way to the door. Slow, careful. You watch to make sure he makes it through. And he does. Barely, but he does. And then there's fewer still. 4 men left. Maybe 5. You lost count. Don't matter much anyway. They'll leave when they're ready, or when you tell them it's time, whichever comes first. You blow out another lamp. The darkness deepens, but it's a comfortable darkness, a familiar darkness, the kind that feels like a blanket, heavy, warm, safe. One of the remaining men's talking to himself, or maybe to the table. Hard to tell. His voice is low, rhythmic, like he's reciting something. A prayer maybe, or a poem, or just words strung together because the silence is too heavy to bear alone. You understand that, the need to fill the quiet, to push back against the emptiness. It's why folks come here in the first place, to not be alone, to be surrounded by other people, other voices, other lives, even if they don't really connect. Even if they just sit in proximity. That's enough sometimes. Just knowing you ain't the only one awake in the world. You sweep a small section of floor, the broom making soft scratching sounds, the sawdust gathering in piles. You'll do the whole floor later. But for now, just clear the worst of it. Just make a path. Another man stands, leaves. Don't say goodbye. Don't need to. The door swings behind him, creaks on its hinges, settles back to still. 3 left, maybe 4. The numbers keep changing, or you keep losing track. Your mind's getting fuzzy, soft around the edges, the exhaustion seeping in deep. But you push through, always do. Just a little longer, just until everyone's gone. You pour yourself a small glass of water. Drink it slow. The cool liquid feels good going down, clearing your throat, washing away the taste of smoke and dust and hours. You set the glass down, wipe your mouth, return to work. There's something peaceful about this time, this winding down, the way the night releases its grip, lets things settle, lets the world breathe easy before the next day comes rushing in with its demands and noise and endless motion. You think about the stranger from earlier, the one who knew Wyatt Earp, wonder where he went, if he's sleeping somewhere, or if he's still out there, still moving, still running from whatever he's running from, still searching for whatever he's searching for. The West's full of men like that, men in motion, men who can't or won't stay still, men haunted by their pasts or chasing their futures or just unable to settle. They drift through, leave traces, and move on, like ghosts, like wind. You blow out another lamp, darker still, just two burning now, one over the bar, one in the back, enough to see by, enough to finish the work. The man talking to himself has stopped, or maybe he left. You didn't notice. The room's so quiet now that the absence of his voice feels loud, feels like something you can hear, the shape of silence where sound used to be. You stack chairs on tables, one by one, the legs pointing up. Makes sweeping easier tomorrow, makes the space look closed. Done, ready for rest. Someone coughs. You look over. Two men still sitting, both nearly asleep in their chairs. You'll give them a minute, then you'll wake them gentle, send them on their way. But for now, let them be. Let them have this last bit of peace before the cold walk home. The stove's gone out completely, the warmth fading. You can feel the chill creeping in now, through the walls, through the floor, the outside asserting itself, claiming the space, reminding you that the saloon's just a temporary shelter, a brief respite, but the world's still out there, still waiting. You wipe the bar one more time, slow, methodical, the towel moving in circles, over and over, the same motion you've made 10,000 times, 100,000 times. So many times it's become part of you, part of your body's knowledge, part of who you are. The mirror behind you reflects the dim room, the empty tables, the sleeping men, the darkness pressing in at the edges. You catch your own reflection, tired face, worn expression, but still here, still standing, still doing the work. Another man wakes, looks around, realizes where he is, stands without a word, leaves. The door swings, the door settles, the room's emptier still. One man left, sleeping deep. You walk over, touch his shoulder. Friend, you say, soft, time to go home. He wakes slow, groggy, looks at you with unfocused eyes, takes a moment, then understanding comes. He nods, stands, sways, but steadies himself. Sorry, he mumbles. Didn't mean to. It's all right, you say. Happens. He makes his way out, unsteady but moving, and then he's through the doors, and you're alone, finally alone. The saloon empty except for you. The silence complete, total. You can hear your own breathing, your own heartbeat, the small sounds of the building settling, the creak of wood, the whisper of air moving through gaps. You stand behind the bar, looking out at the empty room, the ghost of the night still hanging in the air. All those voices, all those people, all that life. It was here just moments ago, and now it's gone, like it never was, like it was all a dream. But you were here, you witnessed it, you held the space, you kept things running. That counts for something, even if nobody thinks about it, even if it's invisible work. It matters. You blow out the last lamp over the bar. Darkness rushes in, but there's a faint gray light coming through the window now. Dawn's approaching. The night's truly over. The new day's beginning. You move to the door, lock it from the inside. The saloon's closed now. Won't open again until evening, until the cycle starts over, until the doors swing wide and the people come back and the whole thing begins again. You turn, look at the dark room one more time. The shapes barely visible, the tables and chairs, the bar, the mirror, all of it waiting, patient, ready for the next night, the next crowd, the next 100 small dramas that'll play out under these lamps. But for now it rests, and you rest. Your work is done. You head upstairs, to the small room above the saloon, where the owner lets you sleep, where you'll lay down for a few hours before starting the day's other work, the restocking, the cleaning, the preparation for tonight. Your boots are heavy on the stairs, each step an effort, but you climb, one step at a time, the same way you do everything, steady, persistent, moving forward because that's all there is to do. You reach the top, open the door to your room, small space, narrow bed, one window, but it's yours. It's shelter. It's enough. You sit on the bed, pull off your boots. Your feet ache. Your back aches. Everything aches. But it's the good kind of ache. The kind that comes from work done, from purpose fulfilled, from making it through another night. You lie back. Close your eyes. The darkness behind your eyelids is deeper than the darkness in the room. Complete. Total. You feel yourself sinking into it. Your body finally letting go. Finally releasing the tension. Finally allowing rest. Outside, the sky's getting lighter. Birds are starting to sing. The world's waking up, preparing for day. But you're done. Your time is over. Now you sleep. The saloon below is quiet, empty, waiting. The bottles on the shelves, the glasses behind the bar, the chairs stacked on tables, all of it holding the memory of the night, all of it ready for the next night, and the next, and the next. The work continues. The cycle repeats. Day follows night follows day, and you're part of it. The bartender, the constant, the one who keeps the doors open and the drinks flowing and the space safe. It's honest work, simple work, the kind that don't get remembered, don't get written about, don't make it into the stories folks tell about the Old West. But it matters. It matters to the men who come through those doors, who need a place to rest, to drink, to talk, to just be. You provide that, night after night, year after year. That's worth something. You drift, sleep pulling you under, your thoughts fragmenting, scattering, becoming dreams or nothing at all. Just the blessed darkness of rest, of peace, of the work being done and the night being over and the morning coming whether you're ready or not. The saloon sits quiet in the gray dawn, the false front facing the street, the painted letters fading, the building small and ordinary, just another structure in a small town, in a big territory. Nothing special, nothing remarkable, but inside, in the accumulated stillness, there's the echo of all the nights, all the voices, all the lives that passed through, all the moments that happened here, big and small, important and trivial, all of it held in the wood and glass and air. The West is changing, the frontier's closing, the old ways are dying, but the saloon remains, a constant, a gathering place, a witness to history being lived one drink at a time, one conversation at a time, one night at a time. And tomorrow, when evening comes, the doors will open again, the lamps will be lit, the glasses will be filled, and the whole thing will begin again. Because that's what saloons do. They open, they serve, they close, They rest, and they open again. The cycle continues. The wheel turns, and life goes on. Out here on the plains, under the big sky, in this moment that's already becoming memory, already becoming history, already becoming the story of the Old West that'll be told long after the last saloon closes, and the last bartender pours the last drink, and the last customer walks out into the last frontier night. But that's later, much later. For now, there's just the quiet, the rest, the peace. The night is over, the work is done, and in the growing light of dawn, everything starts again. Thank you for spending this night in the Dusty Rose Saloon. May you rest easy wherever you are.